So now it's time to take this mix to the finish line. We're going to do that with our Mixbus processing. Before we do that, let's revisit the vocal level overall. Now that we have our all Vox bus, we can easily turn this up and down to get the vocals sitting perfectly with the beat.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it.
This is a huge benefit of having all of our buses like this. We can easily turn down the overall vocals, and we can adjust some of these bigger stacks of vocals like the background vocals.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it, but all I do is worry about you. You know I try to fight it.
So now that we've got a good level between the vocals and the track, let's set up our Mixbus. First thing we're going to do is load a channel EQ on our Mixbus, and this is just going to allow us to shape the overall tone of this track.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it, but all I do is worry about you. You know I try to fight it, but I never seem to win without you. I won't waste another moment, nah, 'cause I'm over waiting on you. If you're not in the moment.
So with this, we're doing very subtle moves, maybe a dB at most. And we're just kind of bringing up the lows, tucking back some of the mud here in the low mids, and bringing up the highs. Now it's important to be very careful at this stage. You don't want to do anything drastic. We're just barely shaping the tone.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you.
So you can hear it's a very subtle difference when we just bypass and unbypass this EQ. Generally what I'm thinking of here is I'm just trying to play around with it and see if I can make it feel a little bigger, a little bit more lively, brings out the presence in a nice way.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it.
Next up in the chain, I'm going to add a compressor, and we're going to use this to just glue everything together. We're going to do very subtle compression. On our Mixbus, in general, we want to do subtle processing, but especially when it comes to the compression. I'm going to use the Studio VCA, and let's take a listen.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it.
So in order to get a subtle compression, we're going to use a low ratio, something like 1.5 to 1. Then we're going to use a pretty slow attack and a little bit faster release. Auto release is great as well. After we have our ratio and attack and release set that way, we're going to adjust the threshold until we're just getting a little bit of gain reduction.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it.
We can then use the makeup gain in order to bring back some level.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it.
So let's take a listen before and after our EQ and compression on the Mixbus.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you.
So it just comes to life a little bit more with that processing. But now let's get it up to the level that we want our final master to be at. We're going to do that with a limiter.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it, but all I do is worry about you.
So sometimes when you use the limiter, it'll reveal something in the processing earlier that you want to adjust. In this case, I want to bring some of that presence back. We got a lot of added presence with the limiter, so I don't need that boost in the EQ as much.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it, but all I do is worry about you. You know I try to fight it, but I never seem to win without you. I won't waste another moment.
So now we're obviously getting a big level jump, but listen to what happened here on the Mixbus.
Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it.
It gives it that final polish when we do this Mixbus processing. One more thing that'll help finish this mix out is a vocal ride. We can see we've got our lead vocals on this track. One thing we can do is flip over here to automation mode. This will help us get a more even, consistent vocal.
You make me want it.
So there when it came in, it was a little bit too loud. So in fact, I want to just turn this entire verse down a little bit.
You make me want it. The way that you got me overthinking. overthinking now. Can tell that you want it. You say not to think about it.
So now the verse feels like it fits better with the music here. It's not too loud, and it gets a little bit louder here in the chorus, which is great. So now I'm liking where that vocal sits. You can see we turned down the verses a little bit. We turned up the leads. Now you can get very specific with this. If there's certain syllables that you want to bring out, you can do that with a fader ride as well. The sign of a good vocal ride is that you can't really hear that it's happening. If you can hear the vocal ride, it's probably too much.
Now can tell that you want it. How you act make me.
So in this case, this word kind of sticks out a little bit. So we'll pull down just slightly on that.
How you act make me wonder if you're in or out.
Now it feels a lot more even. So it's all about making sure that you can hear everything clearly. The vocal feels like it's always in the right place.
No making excuses, got a lot to do. 'Cause I'm over.
So this is very detailed work. This is where you want to be very detailed. You want to listen to it a bunch of times. Make sure that you're making good decisions and that you can't really hear the vocal ride. If you can hear it, it probably needs to be a bit more subtle.
'Cause they fade, our memories were made with you.
So you can hear this one. It's a pretty big jump in level, but it actually works really well. It feels a lot more even now.
'Cause they fade, our memories were made with you. I hate them. 'Cause they fade, our memories were made with you. I hate the night.
We definitely want to bring that in a little bit slower.
You, I hate the nights when I'm.
So it's also about going from section to section, making sure that vocal flows.
Memories were made with you. I hate the nights when I'm alone.
So we've done our vocal ride here. We could continue doing automation. This is a great way to polish off a mix and make it feel really consistent all the way through.
Over waiting on you. On you, on you.
So for example, here in this verse background vocal at the very end of the track, we get this really powerful hook coming in, but we want to make sure that that actually comes through nicely.
'Cause I'm over waiting on you. On you, on you.
So those background vocals almost take a lead role there. So we need to make sure we hear that. We can create a track for that, and now we'll be able to automate it here within our session.
'Cause I'm over waiting on you. On you, on you. Over waiting on you. On you, on you.
So now that we've got our mix in a great place where we like it, we can export our track. When you're setting your export range, it's important to leave a little bit of space before the actual downbeat of the track. So I usually like to put it right here, right in this tick, right before the actual downbeat. This will make sure that streaming services or other players don't cut off the very beginning. It's always important to leave just a little bit of gap right before the music starts. So you can see it's just a very tiny gap. At the end, we're going to also make sure that we don't have a ton of extra space. Now we can go up here and export our song. Now, if you're going to be uploading this to streaming, you want to choose uncompressed. Generally, you want to do a wave at 16-bit, 44.1 hertz. And you can see that our start and end positions is the same as our cycle settings. So we'll leave it like that. We can hit share, and now our mix is exporting. So a couple tips as you're mixing. It's very rare, even for the top professionals, to sit down for an hour or two, do a mix, print it, and then never touch it again. Now, it can happen after you've been doing it for 15 or 20 years and you just get that good. But generally, it's a type of thing where you want to take a break from it, come back to it, and listen with fresh ears. It's also important to reference commercial mixes. Reference other tracks that you want to sound like and try to make yours sound like that. This is a good exercise that you can learn from, but even top professionals do this all the time to make sure that they're making good decisions and making their mix sound commercially acceptable. You can see in this session, we didn't do a ton of processing. We don't have plugins on every single track. Now, if we hadn't used Xvox, we would have had to use 6 or 8 different plugins in order to achieve this mix. So that definitely saved us a lot in processing power and time. But you can see even with that, we didn't do a ton of processing. We really kept it simple. So that's something to keep in mind as you're mixing. If you keep it simple, you'll probably like the results better. I hope you picked up some tips and tricks that you can take into your next mix session. There's never been a better time to be making music with an iPad. There's so many tools out there, so you can get a professional caliber mix with just an iPad. Leave us a comment on these videos if you'd like more in this series. You can also check out our other mix tutorials. You can learn a ton from these other videos as well, using different genres and styles and techniques. If you'd like to start using Xvox on your iPad, hit up the App Store and you can download it there. Until next time, happy mixing.
You make me want it. The way that you got me overthinking now. Can tell that you want it. How you act. you take me for granted. No making excuses, got a lot to do. Cause I'm over the roses, cause they fade out while memories are made with you. I hate the nights when I'm alone. I'm through with keeping all alone. I hate the nights when I'm alone. Baby, what you wanna do? You say not to think about it, but all I do is think about you. You say not to worry about it, but all I do is worry about you. You know I try to fight it, but I never seem to win without you. I won't waste another moment, nah, cause I'm over waiting on you. If you're not in the moment, if you're not with the things that I've been begging of you, cause to me it's in focus. If I'm blurry, oh baby, then you know what to do. Cause I don't wanna be an obligation. I don't wanna feel like you've been faking, but I don't wanna be the only one with something to lose, something to lose. I hate the nights when I'm alone. I'm through with keeping all alone. I hate the nights when I'm alone. Baby, what you want?